Karibu, welcome, and Asante Sana to the young vibrational energy that is coming forward by way of young ones, young African souls. We're getting a little feedback. I'm not sure. Is that me? Okay. Are we good? All right. Hold on. Are we still on? Is it still coming through? Nice and strong? Okay, we're good. Karibu, welcome. We are honoring today the life and wonderful, illuminating example, spirit, energy, mission, and thrust of the great and mighty hero, Omowale Malcolm X. This is, as we refer to it in this arena, is Omowale Malcolm X Kukumbuko. Kukumbuko means remembrance. Kimunga Ukumbozi, Kimunga Ukumbozi, Kimunga Ukumbozi. Those are the greeting words of the Universal Royal African Nation. And they mean divine liberty, divine liberation, divine freedom, and all that that will bring for African people wherever we happen to be on the face of this earth. Global African ascendancy is the mission at hand. And we must, as African souls, ascend. Oh, yes, we must. And we have great beacons of light, great beacons of excellence, great beacons that shine and illuminate the path of ascension for us. And souls that have been with us in the physical sense that are of this spirit continue to be with us beyond the physical. Oh, yes, they do. The African is eternal living, eternal missioning, and eternal thrust. This is the life of the primary and spirit people of creation, the grand monarchs of humanity, and a great example, a great hero of this people monarch is the royal king, Omowale Malcolm X. Omowale, the name that he received whilst he was in Africa. Omowale, the name that he considered to be the greatest treasure he had ever received. Omowale, from the Yoruba language of African indigenous beauty and superlativeness. Omowale, the name that means the son who has returned home. And he did return home in so many magnificent ways, in so many powerful ways. He returned home having his life disrupted and interrupted by the wicked forces of others that mean the African ill. Hit the streets, having come from a home that is of the Garvey substance of being, a Garveyite family. And through the wicked efforts of others that mean the African ill, and their vile attempts to destroy African life and African ascension, he became what he called, in his own words, an extreme delinquent. Nonetheless, he was able to find some semblance of that Garveyanity, that Garveyism, that Garvey thrust. And his older brother, Wilfred, came to him, and as a older brother would, and as an older brother should, directed him towards a righteous path, a path of ascension. And in that path of ascension, he set about, he put his whole self into organizing African people for the benefit of African people. We should know of this. This is what it means to remember. This is what it means not only for cognitive recall, but to pull ourselves back together, to be a member of the very magnificent people we really are. That spirit people of creation. And that's something to be proud of. That is something to restore. That is something to remember. It's a functional word. It's an active word. It's a word that is non-stagnant. It is not a detached concept to say that word. It's not isolation or something cast off into the distant. Excuse me for a moment. Kimunga Ukombozi, Kimunga Ukombozi, Kimunga Ukombozi. I am back. Thank you for your patience. I needed just to get something for the larynx. Just a little bit of fluid. That's good. So good to have that. But as I was saying, remembrance is not a static word. It's not something that is discrete, abstract, detached from ourselves. It's an active word, a doing word. It's vibrational in its essence because it calls us to duty. We must know what has been in order to know where we are, so that we can know where and how to go. Upward, not tread water, not regress, but ascend. And we do that with membership of ourselves. That's strange. How can you have membership of the self? Well, aren't we a people to be a part of? Isn't the self a part of a people? Isn't the self a part of a whole? So if you are a part of a whole, then you must be a member of that whole. Just as the appendages that we have on our body are part of a whole. Just as we have 9 different aspects of our being that make us whole. We are part of a whole. That African whole. WHOLE. Just to make that absolutely clear. We are part of a whole. Oneness of being. And we are also central in the sacred universe. A unique position as decreed by the Creator Supreme. A unique experience like no other. A unique journey that is the most magnificent and longest lived like no other. And an interrupted state of being that we currently find ourselves in like no other. So we are unique. And we all are a part of that whole. Yes, we are. And we ought to remember that. We ought to know that. Even if we happen to be in circumstance where we don't want to explicitly say it, we ought to have living knowingness of that, whether we outwardly say it or we don't. We are still that same people because we remember, because we are people that pull together as one. The self has to pull together to be one. All those 9 parts that make us whole. The harmonious and complementary union between the African man and the African woman has to be in oneness. for family to emerge. Thus, family then is another whole of oneness. And when families move in harmony and in complementarity, again we have another whole of oneness. For that then to be magnified into fully fledged nationhood, a grand expression of that same oneness. We must remember ourselves. We must. If we do not remember ourselves, like others that mean the African ill want us to do, have historical, cultural, spiritual amnesia, castrate us, sever us from who and what we are. They're incessant with this. They're incessant through miseducation. They're incessant through mass media. They're incessant through all kinds of vehicles, tools, and vile institutions that we are shoehorned into, compelled to, surviving as best as it is possible to do. So we must remember, through our own volition, through our own self-determined effort, independently of whatever we may happen to do for the sake of sheer survival. Because I know that for multitudes of us around the world, we have to hemorrhage energy, hemorrhage ourselves as a resource out to others that mean us ill in order to eke out some kind of living, some kind of income generation, some kind of education. That's the contradiction that many of us in this present state of being are compelled to have to do. And there's nothing wrong in surviving. We must survive as a basic minimum, but, and that's not to undo what I've just said now, the trappings of this bogus language that we happen to be afflicted with, but we ought to surely do more than merely survive and prop up the very institutions that are crushing us at the same time, or attempting to crush us at the same time. You see, if we can extract some semblance of tools, or some semblance of resource, or some semblance of knowingness from out there, then surely there must be time spent to apply that knowingness, to use that resource so that we can build for ourselves. Thus, what we do for survival then has long-standing meaning for us as a whole. Omowale Malcolm X, the great hero, the great warrior, the great and forthright liberator, demonstrated this, illuminated this in his deeds, in his words, in his work. And he urged African souls to, no matter what else you have to do, be a part of a organ, independent of others, independent of those that mean the African ill, to build for the African, to lift the African, to function on behalf of, for the betterment of, for the ascension of African souls. We ought to remember this. We ought to know this. Because in remembering Omowale Malcolm X, we are indeed remembering ourselves. Yes, remembering ourselves. That same self that you see in the mirror. That same self that others try to coerce outside of natural beingness to do their bidding for them, to self-destruct at their behest, to do damage to ourselves at their will. And as we go, as we grow, I should say, in knowledge, as we grow in learning, and we have greater access to information in this time and space, more research, more understanding, and new information coming to light, we can hear about perpetrators who worked against our great hero in his lifetime, who were coerced into, maneuvered into, puppeteered into, misengineered into doing dastardly deeds on behalf of those that mean the African ill. And I know for many, people say this is a force of white supremacy, working as an agent of white supremacy. I would posit that there is nothing supreme about something in the world, or some force, some system, some people in the world that are less than, that are not functional but dysfunctional. So the word supreme may indeed be a misnomer, not a system of supremacy, but rather a system of inadequacy, not adequate. And that's polite language. But if we know something is dominating in the world that is inadequate, unrighteous, vicious, brutal, conniving, deceitful, then surely we take the responsibility seriously to lift ourselves to our highest and optimal state of being in an organized way, in thrust of liberty and nationhood, energized with the spirit of one great hero, that one great hero that we remember on this day, the day of his martyrdom. That one great hero that is not singular, that one great hero that represents a whole people's thrust. This we must remember. This we have in the substance of our being to remember. This is a call to remember. A call that must be manifest. Not just to be cognizant of, but to have living memory, living remembrance, living the who and what we are. Living the who and what we are meant to be. Living the African way. And for those that have ventured in on the previous live, which emerged as a part of the celebration or the expression of jubilance that comes with the observance known as Kwanzaa, first fruits of the harvest, you will know that Omowale Malcolm X, even for something that seems so, for many or far too many, seems so accessible and yet unfortunately unassuming to many at the same time. This holiday that is of deep, profound, meaningful substance to African souls of the world, wherever we happen to be, there's a vehicle with core values that are all year round, amongst other facets of that observance, pulled together by an organ that was inspired by the great hero Omowale Malcolm X, and the number of organs that are inspired by the great hero Omowale Malcolm X, the number of people inspired by the great Omowale Malcolm X continues to expand, continues to rise. And these souls continue to shine. In remembrance, we're living the reality of our ascension. It's not back then, it's right here and now, because Omowale Malcolm X is, not was, is. Omowale Malcolm X is then, and Omowale Malcolm X is now, and Omowale Malcolm X is tomorrow. Living remembrance. Yes, it is. Trying to touch on a few things right now. So hopefully you can have a little something to take away with you. Just a little something. And as I mentioned Kwanzaa, which he inspired so much, and you can see it in the language of Kwanzaa. You can see it in the language of the Nguza Samba. And you can hear it from the leader or people that are involved in the project to make Kwanzaa real for us in our lives. They say it themselves. Omowale Malcolm X lives on through us. And there's nothing wrong at all in having our great heroes. Let no one, I said, let no one shame you into relinquishing those powerful souls that give us strength, that give us inspiration, that give us pride, that give us dignity, that give us energy, that enlivens our lives. Let no one take that away from us as African souls in this world. We love Omowale because we love ourselves. Can you see that rhythmic dance? We love our heroes because we love ourselves. We love our leaders because we love ourselves. So we're not throwing them away. We remember them. And most certainly remember our exceptional ones. And this hero, this grand hero, is an exceptional one. So I want you just to hold that for a moment or two. And I'd like to share with you, if I may, a few words that he said. And this ties in with what I mentioned in terms of the cultural construct that comes out of first fruits of the harvest celebrations. He said the following, a hero reading, if you will, words of the hero, if you will, words of the great liberator, if you will, words of the great Omowale Malcolm X. He said the following, when you put a seed in the soil, it remains beneath the soil until the season changes. And when the season changes, that seasonal change automatically brings about, rather, atmospheric conditions bring about a seasonal change that makes the seed come up or crop grow in its appointed time. And all over this world today, the Creator Supreme has brought about political changes, a political atmosphere, social atmosphere, economic atmosphere. These economic conditions, these political conditions, these, and social conditions combine to bring about a situation that is making this people, African people, more receptive, their mind more fertile to the seed of truth. And he used that in context of organizing our people as he was going through his journey. But listen to the metaphor of the harvest. The call to remember is clear. Cultivate yourself. Cultivate the oneness in yourself. Cultivate the harvest of African souls to produce a bountiful yield. That's harvesting that's been with the Africans since time immemorial. And what a powerful people we are in cultivating ourselves and lifting ourselves. So the thrust of Omowale is very much alive in the cultural fabric that is relevant to African people, whether we are in Africa itself, whether we are in the islands, whether we are in the UK, whether we're in Europe, whether we are in the Americas, whether we are further east of Africa, it matters not. Here we have the cultivational substance, the cultivational fabric of living to lift ourselves out of the conditions we're in and continual ascension, eternal ascension, harmonizing in oneness of our being. And that is why, as we go on into this year that is referred to by way of the calendar that has been popularized in the world as we speak, that is called 2021. We go into this year. We're still at the cusp of its unfolding, but we go into the year carrying the best tools of who and what we are. To reap the rewards and reap the best of our manifest selves in this world. And that's why, certainly within this arena, we have the term Asbwak. Because this is a spiritual organ, the Universal Royal African Nation. It's spiritually and culturally grounded, spiritually and culturally rooted, so that the other aspects of life can flow and be expressed from fabric of substance and not operate simply at the aesthetic level, not operate simply at the surface level or on the periphery. We've been on the periphery too long. We are central by divine decree. So the term Asbwak, it means African spirituality by way of Kwanzaa. Spirituality is not escapism. It's not fly off into the clouds somewhere and detach yourself from reality. That's not what spirituality is for the African. Spirituality is rooted, is grounded, is filled with spirit guidance, spirit ascension, spirit wisdom, spirit conception, spirit manifestation, spirit abundance, directed and driven. Put the Creator in your life as a principal place to begin. Put the Creator in your life. Omowale Malcolm X is a man of the Creator Supreme. That person you look at in the mirror is a soul of the Creator Supreme. This is why examples are key. These are why exceptional heroes are key. And we're not short of them at all. A huge pantheon. But today we're honoring that great hero, that great leader, that great soul. Because we are actively remembering. We are actively remembering now, and we're remembering tomorrow. And we remember so that we can move in unison, in knowingness, and in directional thrust. We must remember, and we must live. We have a chant that we do, a creative expression that we do within the Universal World African Nation. I won't sing it to you, but I'll tell you what the words are. He's a rock. He's our rock. Black soul and steel. He's standing in the middle of the wheel. He is the spirit of Marcus Garvey, our bright, black, shining star. No matter what the world may say, we are going to lift our hands and say that Omowale Malcolm X has come. Let me do that again, because I know you missed it the first time round. And for those that have recall, some of the words may sound familiar, but they've been purposely, creatively restored for African souls to harness and lift themselves with in remembrance of this great hero. So let me do that again. He's our rock, black soul and steel. He's standing in the middle of the wheel. He is the spirit of Marcus Garvey, our bright, as best as we can, even given the affliction of what people refer to as this language called English. We do our best to use the Kiswahili language as a unifying vehicle, a spiritual and culturally grounding vehicle, a vibrational and inspirational vehicle, a vehicle of reconnection, a vehicle of remembrance. So you'll find that throughout the year, is the sound gone? Has sound disappeared? Oh, we've lost sound. No sound? Sound still there? You still there with sound? Can we speak louder? Is this, it's still there? Can we hear? They're little. I'm not sure if the sound is there or not at this point, but I'm going to continue, and hopefully it is, so that we can finish this out. We haven't got long to go. There were some technical challenges to-ing and fro-ing earlier, so I'm hoping that things are still cooking, as the saying goes. But if not, we'll work with the vibrational energy and spirit thrust nonetheless. So in any case, we'll close out then with honoring this great hero who knew full well that we were a world African people. And we'll close out with the foundational principle of the Nguza Sabbath. That foundation principle is umoja. It means unity. In the rhythmic, beautiful, vibrant, superlative language of oneness among African souls referred to as Kiswahili, the meaning of umoja is thus: kujitahidi na kuendeleza umoja katika familia, jamii, taifa na asili. And in the bogus, rudimentary, backward, regressive, infantile language, pseudo-language referred to as English, the loose approximation, because that's all it can be, is as follows: to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Thank you for coming along, Asante Sana, joining us in this remembrance, as brief as it was. We had our ritual practice earlier, but we shared this segment with you so that you can partake of in the day with us, even given the circumstances that we currently find ourselves in with lockdown. So may you all continue to ascend, walk good, stay strong, stay blessed, stay magnificent, stay beautiful, stay divine, stay all of those things as we strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Kwaheri for now. Kimunga Ukumbozi, Kimunga Ukumbozi, Kimunga Ukumbozi. Divine liberty, divine liberation, divine freedom, and all that that will bring for African people wherever we happen to be on the face of this earth.